Welcome to the Forever Better Academy podcast, where you will be given the principles, tools, and techniques to reach the next stage on your journey of self-mastery. Who could you become? I'm your host, Wade Vincent. Have you ever felt like the universe is trying to tell you something? This is Wade Vincent here once again, Forever Better Academy podcast. Today, I wanted to tell you guys a story about a time in my life when I was working as a laborer, in essence, when I was driving trucks, and I had a very strange experience that really helped shape the course of my life. At the time, this is when I was driving trucks, so I was delivering food service, basically frozen foods, dry goods, just to the restaurants and cafes and hotels that basically I used to be a chef in. And same thing, day in, day out, very routine kind of job. You know, you get your orders, the truck is packed with pallets of goods, and you, in essence, travel around all day and deliver those goods. I'd been in the job almost 4 years, and what happened was I started to notice. It just started once. One time I was driving, and there was a little bee, and the bee had landed in the cabin of the truck and was clearly not doing well. Was you could tell it was like disorientated. I wouldn't say sick, but it looked like something was wrong. And I've always been a nature person. So whenever I see an animal like that, I'm very big on trying to be kind and help a little creature. There's no need to be hurtful or spiteful. A life is a life, right? So I just pulled the truck over. I'd get the little bee and I just put him on a plant. Didn't think much more of it. Yeah, that's what it is. Just put the little bee outside because he obviously doesn't need to be in the truck. As I said, maybe he's just disorientated. So, I thought not much more of it and continued on my day. And then, again, a few days later, same thing. A bee in the cabin of the truck. Again, disorientated, almost like it was dying. Something was wrong with this bee. And at first I thought it was an odd thing, but maybe it was just coincidence. Hey, there's this, has the same bee flown back? I mean, I did do the same kind of route. A lot of times I'd travel on the same path, in my set delivery area. And I just, it's odd that it happened again, but, again, not a big deal. Didn't think too much more of it, So easy enough to just sort of brush off. It happens. It's animals. They come and go, whatever. So, and then just left my mind. Didn't think much more about it. And then again, and this continued to happen multiple times. I'm talking like once or twice was a little strange, but then seeing it happen frequently to the point where it felt like the universe is trying to tell me something. And I've always been open in that regard. I wouldn't say, the whole woo-woo thing or mystic or whatever, but there's reason why humans go through the experiences. We're all connected. There's a connection to other creatures, living creatures on the earth, and we're all connected through our energy, right? And I'm very aware when something happens enough times. I'm talking like this was probably at least 7 or 8 times, maybe more, that it was always one single bee that would just fly into the cabin, or I'd notice it already in the cabin, and every single time there was something wrong with the bee. The bee was disorientated, the bee was dying, and it just seemed like too much of a coincidence to not take notice of. So when you see something like that, and there was a part of me that sort of just went, you're being stupid. Yes, it's a coincidence, but it's just probability. I mean, there's nothing that says that this couldn't happen multiple times, all right? But I found when it first stopped was when I'd started to take it serious enough to consider that there's something here, something's happening that I need to look into further. So as I said, I'm open to the universe. I'm trying to pick up. It's important to notice the signals and patterns. They're always presented around you. It's just like like a light spectrum. Sometimes we don't see things right in front of our face, and sometimes we're not capable. But I'm always open to that idea, of the concept. That we can receive input or learn lessons from other avenues, right? So I started to look into it, search around online, try to look into any other people that had experience with animals that had impacted them, or similar things with bees, and I couldn't really find anything. So I didn't really get my answer or resolve, that curiosity that I was going through. So I left it alone. And sure enough, when I ignored it again, after maybe a month or so, it started happening again. So it's and multiple times, not just once. Again, it happened multiple times. This little bee, same thing, always in the cabin of the truck. I'm in the driver's side. In Australia, the driver's side's the right. We sit in the right side of the vehicle, and drive on the left side of the road. And the bee was always on the passenger side, just not necessarily ever on me, but always beside me. And then it started to be like, okay, well, something inside is telling me I'm supposed to take this lesson. I'm not learning. I'm not realizing what is being gifted to me right now. I'm not understanding what someone is sharing with me, what the universe is giving me. Right now, that hit me because I'd clearly ignored it. I mean, as I said, I'd looked into it and tried to find out what it meant, but I didn't get anywhere. So I just, hit a brick wall and left it alone. And when it starts happening again after that, you take things very seriously, or at least in this case I did, because that's a signal to me that I'm supposed to understand. I'm supposed to translate's not the right word. Decipher what this means. So I started digging deeper again, looking, asking people responding to me, saying that they'd had dreams about bees like this and similar experiences, but no one could quite pinpoint what it meant. And it got to the point where I like to often reflect and sit back and think about things and process them and understand, how do I comprehend this? What does it really mean? And try to take the time to reflect on it and understand what the universe is trying to tell me. And it got for me, it was almost like at the time I was going nowhere fast, right? So as a little bit of a giving you the landscape, I didn't have ambition. I was driving the trucks. There was no real line of promotion or site for me to advance my career. It was just day in, day out. I was a worker bee, So it sort of then it hit me almost like a bee sting, right? That instant pain, like, oh, I'm a worker bee. This is me. If I just continue to do this day in, day out with no ambition to change things, no real drive to improve my situation or just grow and learn new things, and that's how I interpreted it, as this is a reflection. This worker bee is showing me what my future is. If I don't change, I'm just working day in, day out without a career or a business or something that impacts the world, or living up to my true potential and fullest powers, and I'm just working to die. And as soon as I interpreted it like that, and it felt that was the right message. It felt like I'd deciphered what was trying to be told to me. The very next day that stopped. And it never happened again. Not a single bee ever again. Since then, even up until now, is never been in the vehicle. Well, I don't drive trucks anymore, but even in general. And I think that was what the universe was trying to tell me, and that's how I took it on board, and it changed things, because maybe it was just giving me that little, that nudge to get me to see, what lied in store for me if I wasn't going to make a difference in my life, or take control and live up to what I have to offer for the world, and it pushed me. It was the jolt that I needed. It's such a strange thing, and that's why I wanted to share this story with you guys, because it was so profound and impactful that I couldn't get it out of my head. And as soon as I had understood what the message was that was being sent to me, I decided to get self-educated. I knew that, okay, well, this is what it is. I can't keep going like this. I'm just working to die, and I'm not going anywhere. And this is what lies in store for me. This is that awakening, And I took that motivation and endeavored to use my time more wisely. So I basically looked at it and go, okay, well, I'm driving the truck. We're going further into debt virtually each week. We're not really getting anywhere. So I don't really have opportunity to pay for further education or enroll in courses. So I was met with these obstacles and these roadblocks. This is what I'm up against. I don't have the means to do it in the traditional sense, but I didn't let that deter me, because I knew, like, if I didn't do something, this is my future. This little bee, this is me. I'm that worker bee. I'm just going through the motions until the day that I pass away. And I knew. I didn't know how I was going to change things, but I knew that I needed to change things, and I knew that I didn't want that future that if I didn't make a move, that was what was lying in store for me. So I made the conscious effort to work with. I'm trying to remember the saying. It's basically start now where you are with what you have, and do what you can. So I basically thought, okay, well, I'm gonna bring a book with me in the truck. So every day at lunchtime, I'm gonna read and put that effort into my own self-education, because I might not have the funds or the resources or tools to, as I said, approach it in a traditional sense and just go to college or a university and better myself in that sense, or enroll in units or courses that are going to help me on my career progression. So what I could do was I could take books that were based around subjects or skill sets that interested me, that I knew would benefit me moving forward. So I'd start getting books on how to win friends and influence people, timeless books, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, books on negotiating, books on understanding money and finances, books on psychology, emotional intelligence, books on persuasion, sales techniques, psychology. Did I say psychology? Basically anything that I knew were valuable skill sets, that it didn't matter what they were, however I applied them would help me in any situation. So I looked at it like, how could I go broad in a sense, but still whatever I learned would benefit me in multiple different avenues. So I found podcasts that this is another thing, I've spoken about this in the past. The beautiful thing is when you find a podcast or a book that talks to you, that you really gain something from it and it resonates with you, typically they'll reference other books that they researched in writing this book and coming up with concepts that these books support their idea, or you'll see a podcast guest who will be being interviewed, and they will mention a podcast that they listen to, or the podcast that they host, and it was like going down the rabbit hole. So I'd take those things and I'd pay attention to what the universe was showing me. That I was the saying, have you ever heard, knock and the door will open? So I realized I needed to take action and make a move, and then I'd hear the universe would give me the doorway, and I'd knock on it and ask, please open, let me through. I want to see what the next thing is. And sure enough, I promise you, if you do those things, they will open. The door is open. All you have to do is ask. Ask and you shall receive. I swear to you, if you want it bad enough and you feel it and you're determined and your desire is strong enough, the universe will give it to you. I promise you. I've seen it time and time again. I've lived it. I've asked for multiple things, and every single time, if I'm serious about it, it happens. I ask, I learn what I need to do, and I do the work, and then the next door appears, and it leads me to the next place. Now, so I basically did all that self-work that I could, because, I couldn't approach it in a traditional sense. And once I'd gotten to a point where I knew that enough was enough with the work I was doing, and it got to a point where I realized there was no more room for me in that job, in that career, delivering the frozen goods, the food service, and basically took the leap of faith. And I remember being scared and just not knowing what the future held, and going in and giving in my resignation. And my boss at the time, who I reported to, was our operations manager, absolutely wonderful man that was probably one of my earlier mentors, and just it was really cool. I've got a lot of time for Lance, a very good guy that used to write quotes, famous people's quotes and inspiring messages on our work whiteboards and things around the depot, and just things that were really helpful to me at the time, that were assisting the journey that I was going on in my quest. And I remember when Lance said to me, he's like, "Are you sure that you want to quit? Have you got?" Because he knew I've got 2 kids and a wife to support, and he said, "Have you got another job to go to?" And I didn't. I just knew that I had to take that leap of faith, and that something would turn up, because I'd been doing the work and I was prepared and I was bettering myself, and I knew if I stayed put that I was that worker bee and nothing was going to change, and I had to be a little bit scared and take that leap. And it's a small leap, like you think about it, wasn't the end of the world. Like, I could always go back to that job if I really needed to. But in order for things to change, you have to change things. They don't just change of their own accord. It's not like a life lottery where someone's not going to come knock on your door and go, "Hey, I've got your dream job for you. I've got this perfect opportunity for you, the business." You've got to go find those things, and you have to be ready for them when you do find them. On top of that, being able to learn how to see the opportunities. So I took that leap of faith. I just said, "Yeah, Lance, I got to do it." And I remember we had such a good conversation. And I feel like he was a huge support to me, pushing me to better myself. And the conversation was, at the time, I think, with all the overtime, at that point, was probably earning about $70,000, like working big hours, this is gross before tax, and I know that is, reasonable money. And, I'm not pretending that that's not good money, but it was also hard because, Australia's expensive, and, to support a family of 2 and a wife and everything else on that, sometimes it actually isn't possible, which is a scary thing, so it's all, relative. And I remember Lance sitting me down after I'd handed in my resignation, and he said to me, like, you you've got so much potential, and the only thing that's holding you back is yourself. You have plenty of intelligence. You understand, how work ethic. You know what needs to be done. Sometimes you let your emotions or temper get the best of you, and if you're not in a position where you're earning more than $100,000 a year, at least by the time that you're 40 years old, then you have no one else to blame but yourself. And that was like another wake up call. That message I needed to hear, that perfect timing, and it just hit me. I was like, I think it felt like the first time that anyone believed in me. Even like, if you think inside, you're capable, right? And you shouldn't look for validation from other people or permission from other people to do what you're set out to do. But I won't kid you, it's a nice feeling, and it helps and makes you feel supported when somebody actually does say that kind of thing to you. Even if you know it in your heart and you believe it, something as simple as another person saying to you, you can do this. If you muck it up, it's only because you haven't put enough effort in. And that was all I needed. And I quit the job, and I took that to heart. And Lance and I still talk today, and it was a pleasure going back and speaking to him and showing him, and that I achieved that goal. More than six figures, and it was nice. I was really proud, and I felt good that he'd given me that kick in the ass that I needed. And when after I'd quit, sure enough, I applied for other jobs, and I wanted to get into sales because I knew that was a life skill that I had to learn that was going to serve me. Again, that the broad horizons of skills that I was immersing myself in and absorbing that I knew were going to benefit me no matter where I went. And something spoke to me about, I just knew that I should learn sales. I've got to learn sales because it's about, communicating with other people, how you negotiate and interact, how you navigate those social interactions that serve you well beyond a sales job. Like you'll hear Grant Cardone talks about it all the time in Sell or Be Sold. You're either selling or being sold. It's that simple. Every time you either sell someone on what you want, or you're being sold on their choice or what they want. And just so simple and profound and straightforward. So I was like, okay, I'm going for sales. And sure enough, found an opportunity that was leveraging my existing skill set in the food service industry and my background in hospitality and as a chef, and using that in the whole transport logistics to leverage into software and into a transport software system, basically. And sure enough, I had to take a pay cut and take that step backwards. Sometimes, one step back for two steps forward. And now this is maybe 3 years later, and I tripled my income because I put the work in. I understood. I took that message from the universe, that little bee. I didn't want to be that little bee dying. I didn't want to be it, and I didn't ignore it. And I honestly feel the universe will give you those lessons and throw you those insights and the things you need. As long as you're there and you're listening, it'll give you those little nudges that you need, right now. And that's why I do this podcast. Forever Better Academy is all about that. There could be one person that needs to hear this story that makes a difference and is the catalyst for you to get up and take action and change your life and take it beyond your wildest dreams, what you ever thought possible, just because something that happened to me. As I said, we're all connected, and that flows on to the next. And I can share my stories and lessons and my journey and the tools and techniques and principles that have changed my life and continue to change my life, and where I'm going on my journey can make an impact on others. And it's as simple as, the probably the greatest achievement from all of it is like, it's nice, to not worry about money and stress and feel like the family can be supported. Absolutely, that's a reflection of the efforts that I put in, and the achievement from doing the hard work and reaping the financial rewards of that. But the greatest joy comes from the person that I became, and what that can do for others. So I'm very happy to share this story with you guys. I hope that it gives you some sense of confidence and the nudge that you need. So I'll leave you guys with that. And remember, who could you become? All right, this is Wade Vincent, Forever Better Academy. I want to see you guys, excel beyond your wildest dreams. So I thank you guys for tuning in and listening to the story. I hope that you enjoyed it, and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. And I'll see you next week. See you later, guys.